to galacticconnection.com, one of the most popular blogs on the World Wide Web today for alternative news. Stay tuned for the latest information on our world shift from enslavement to galactic involvement, as well as current intel on any blockages impeding us from our sovereign birthright. Knowledge and self-mastery are key at this time. Our commitment is to present you with the latest breaking conspiratorial articles, off-world messages, exopolitics, cutting-edge technologies and sciences, and also an ever-significant intertwining of spiritual support and metaphysical scope that one needs to dive down the rabbit hole in search for truth with balance. We are truly on the horizon of a new golden age filled with the promise for more love, worldwide peace, and accelerated intuitive skills, where every living being can exist in cohesion and abundance. It is whatever we envision and dream this new world to be. I say to you now, let's redefine the new world to the beginnings of our own precious heaven on earth. Galactic Connection is here to provide the pulse of Mother Earth through an eclectic range of interviews each Tuesday afternoon from 3 to 4:55 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, Station 2 on BBS Radio, expanding your perspectives on how we can once and for all take back our freedoms, our joy, and our connection with our mighty I Am presence. Our intention remains true to connect hearts and minds everywhere in order to obtain global unity and galactic and universal acceptance. Our discussions will continue to cover anything to do with galactic society and our involvement with our galactic brothers and sisters. Our guests are experts in their fields, and our radio shows have been coined as some of the most thought-provoking out there. In addition to our daily blog, which runs 365 days a year, we also offer a realm of healing services such as our world-renowned implant removal processes, our spiritual past life clearings, our galactic violet ray alchemy from Alexandra, who shares in the lineage of Merlin, and other cutting-edge healing technologies. Check our site out at galacticconnection.com now, sending you a wave of light, love, and inspiration, and a personal hug and thank you for listening to our Galactic Connection radio show and visiting our blog today. Good morning, everyone. This is Alexandra Meadors of galacticconnection.com, and this is a pre-recorded interview for December 8th, 2015. Now, before I dive in with Jerry Yusko and James Hines today, I would like to give you guys a little bit of just a concept as to how radical things are changing for all of us. We are going to discuss today the way in which we are being encountered by the dark forces, what we can do to counter those attacks, and at this time it is very clear to me that there is not one person out there that is either, let's just say, acting as a light warrior role or as a ambassadorial role, or really doing a lot of work on the inner plane to assist in this huge shift that we're going through right now. We are really talking a whole new ball game. Jerry's going to get into this. James is going to talk a few things. So am I. We all have a lot of information to share with you. But one thing I can promise you is that you're not alone. I've received quite a few emails about people being deluged, and I mean deluged, with psychic attack unlike anything they've ever experienced. So we're going to talk a little bit today as to why we think that's going on, what we can do to counter that. We're in a whole new ball game because as we have raised our energies, as we have increased our frequency, we're now in a whole new band of, let's just put it this way, of beings that are not necessarily beneficial for us. So we kind of got used to the whole archontic attack thing. I'm not going to say we got happy with it, but we were accustomed to it. We were in that range of frequency for quite a long time. This is a whole new ball game. And as you can see, I don't know if everybody can see that, but even our recording today is flickering. I don't know if you guys are noticing that. And this is so classic for the Neptunian energies. There's an awful lot of dismantling of the matrix, which is affecting all communications with us and the way that we communicate. So let's go ahead and dive in. And as you're doing that, please, please, please do not forget to send us strength and love and light at Galactic Connection. We are doing everything we can behind the scenes to support all of you. You know that we are here for the long haul, no matter what they throw our way. And we would appreciate any support that you can provide us. And that goes for donations, or if you feel compelled to check out our world-renowned implant removal process. We're going to be adding additional services very shortly. However, at this time, as you can imagine, because of the hack job that we received from multiple, let's just put it this way, avenues, we are kind of restructuring things right now. So whatever help you guys can provide us, we really would appreciate it. Now, Jerry Yusko, as all of you know, works hand in hand with me. We are, in my opinion, an incredible healing team. He is my brother from many other lifetimes, and boy, do we know that, don't we, Jerry? And we don't even talk, and yet we do so much the same similar type of stuff on the inner plane. And we have really finessed and tweaked the whole implant removal process so that we can assist you in really literally rooting out the core beginning ancient seed of the implant removal process, the whole implanting agenda from the very get-go. That's our responsibility. And James Hines is here today because we look at James as someone who assists us on the security realm of things. We will be talking to him today. He's gotten some information and hits on some things we need to share with you. But I feel, despite the fact that they're messing with our video cameras, this is probably one of the most important interviews we've had in a while. And I tend to keep saying that because it just keeps coming in. The information just floods in. I woke up this morning with such a clarity, having a conversation directly with God last night. So I want to start this out right now with Jerry. Today is another day of receiving a lot of information and emails from people that are consistently going through a deluge of what they think are a new type of attack. And I would like to know from you how you see that, number one, and why do you feel that is, number two?
Okay, well, first of all, I'd like to say good afternoon to both of you.
Thank you.
I hope you're having a beautiful day. And then as far as your questions, from what I've been observing, not only was the IRPs and the soul alignment and the DA and A activations, but also with just people that I've been working with, right now it's a very critical time for the whole human race, I'm finding out. I found out that the Galactic Center is just illuminating us with energy right now. And there's three ways to find out if I'm accurate or not. One is by looking at the sun and the activity. Two, looking at planet Earth and the harmonic vibration energy it is going up with. Okay, and then three, the feeling and changes of your own body. What I'm finding out is people are saying that they wish to raise their vibration and go higher up in frequency, but in order to do that, I'm finding out that people also need to change the body. It needs to acclimate to the energy that we're bringing in. Mm. Because remember, we lived in low density.
Yes.
And the funny thing I'm finding out is you can have a high vibrational spiritual frequency and live in like 1,000 watt of energy, but if your body's only resonating to 100 watts, there's an imbalance within the alignment of your body, your mind, your soul, and your spirit. And this is what I also am discovering when I go back to removing implants or the soul alignment, and especially on the DNA. The DNA for most people are taking a beating right now. From what I'm finding out from working on people hands-on. As you know, I love doing hands-on. And
well, explain what you mean, Jerry, by the DNA is taking a beating, so people know what you absolutely mean by that.
Well, as you know, with every person, I print out a report and take their picture, and through their picture, I can connect to their essence, basically, or their spirit or soul.
Right.
And I'm finding out that the body itself is acclimating and changing. And if people don't know how to bring in the manifestation of that energy that they wish to create by going higher up in vibrational frequency, which basically means being able to live their life not only in the talk of what they wish to achieve, but in the walk as well. So if the two don't correlate with each other, the DNA starts getting tangled in people. It'll actually start, from what I'm seeing, choking itself.
Wow.
Well, the reason why is because you're not using the full potential of what you are.
Mm.
So right now, in my opinion, I think I talked to James about this the other day, is we need to start learning how to manifest our energies into where we wish to have our purpose and creation come from it. And so people are going to be going for at least the next 6 months, from what I found out, through a lot of different changes. Yes, they can go higher in vibration, but the body needs to follow the line of ascent with the spirit. That's why I told you a long time ago, I am developing a future body for when I reincarnate.
Right.
It will already be within the parameters of what I need to not have to relearn, but to keep growing from that point on by taking the knowledge of what I know now with me.
Which everybody wants. You know, everybody would want that. Nobody wants to start all the way over.
Yeah, and I've done it enough times, believe me.
Yeah, I think we all have. So James, what are you seeing as the way in which you're feeling the external intrusions are affecting people, just by a lot of the phone calls and emails that you're receiving?
It's interesting. Over the last, it's been about a week, the calls from some of the people who have been sending information in regarding that they've had archonic attacks, and I said, well, have you had your implant removals? No. So that was one answer. If you're being attacked with the archons and you don't have your implant removals, sign up. That's a key factor.
Okay.
There's other attacks that are affecting people as well. I don't know what they are. Jerry could probably answer that, or you could answer that better than most, but there's been some extreme attacks from different, I don't even know where they would come from, whether, what kind of beings they are and how they're affected.
I have info on that, so but keep going.
And I think I do too.
Yeah.
But I think that with this vibrational change, and it's affected all of us, I've noticed the shift here. I felt it coming in Friday, and Saturday for sure it shifted. Something happened Saturday. I felt some huge shift there, whatever it was. It may have been minuscule to most people, but I felt it. And I think that if people are tired of putting up with this game, we all have to come together on this. We have to stand up and not take it. And it's and this implant removal process, a lot of people don't or are unaware of it. They hear it. They listen to your show, they listen to your interview, and they're all excited about you, and they have a loyal fan base here. But a lot of people still don't have the removals, and that is a key factor in this. What's affecting them. So I don't know, as far as how we're going to change this thing, that's what I think we're all here for, is we're to get together, all of us.
Yeah, and I would say, Jerry and I have talked about this many times, when you go in and you start cleaning house, and what I mean by that is you're removing alien technology from your fields. Now we tend to always focus on our physical reality, but we're dealing with a force that is very, not only, I would say, intelligent and gifted, but some of these folks have access to future sort of technologies and information. And because of that, we tend to feel that we are subordinate to them, or perhaps even subservient from the standpoint that we don't have the memories, we don't have the wherewithal, we think, to be able to counter some of these technologies, etc. This is one of the reasons Galactic Connection has gone through what they've gone through. And one of the pieces of information that came in with me last night was the key date. And I want to put this out to the entire community because I know all of you will come back with emails and feedback. As you all know, we're not the only ones here. We honor all of you out there and the assets and the talents and the healings that you all do. And we know that everybody's getting information. It is best if you can present that information to us so we can compile it and create more of a uniform hub in which to present this to everyone. I think this is a new way of being. I think it's a new way of communicating with all of us together. And I will just say to you, the piece that I got was the green light was given to what I would call the dark forces, okay, on October 23rd. And it showed up in the physical level at Galactic Connection. It's when we were infiltrated literally from prior employers, prior employees, okay? The way in which the dark work, and this is the warning I want to put out there to everyone, is so incredibly cunning that you have to step back and just shake your head and think, wow, I mean, this is an amazing force that we are contending with. We have stepped up into a much higher intensity, and we've kind of gone from, Jerry, it's almost like we've gone from middle school to high school. You know, we're really having to rub elbows with a higher dimensional force. We're really having to hone our skills in discernment. And even that, don't beat yourself up because we're in a whole new ball game with that. Okay? Like the three of us on this call right now, we actually were tested, definitely. And I won't go into all the details, but we were all, let's just put it this way, we were affected. And we're pretty discerning and we're pretty aware. But what happens is the dark agenda is gotten so aggressive that they're looking at very specific targets and they're looking for any kind of weakness that's within your field. It's not just you. It's within your field of community. And I wanted to stress this today. Whoever you're hanging out with is definitely going to affect your life now. And if they are not on the same page with you spiritually, if they're not taking accountability, if they're not tuning in and connecting with Source every day, if they're not being able to sit down with you and communicate with you as a grown-up, then beware. Because this is becoming easier and easier for the dark to be able to infiltrate your life, present you more psychic attack, okay, than ever before. And I wanted to see, Jerry, what you think about that.
I think you and I were discussing this a while back, that I've been running across what I call hyperdemons.
Yes.
And basically what they are is, even before 2012, we have started shifting, the human race started shifting, and the Anunnaki energy that used to attack us, we have outgrown it. So what they have done is they have brought in, they're basically, for the better word, with their extraterrestrial demons. Okay?
Yep.
So I call them hyper demons or hyper demons, because there is an archetype to them as well. And James would really know about this because he's a pastor of light for them. I think he used to be a slayer, but we talked about that. And the transition between war and loving a being makes a big difference in your spiritual growth as well as theirs. And love conquers all. Good. And James could probably talk more about that. Would you like to say something?
Yeah, that's interesting. You know, the archons. This just happened in September, with a little bit of guidance from you, I'll share that story with the Archons, which I didn't know. I don't think any of us knew, or maybe you did, but they are slaves just as we are. And when you can send them into the light, or you can ask them into the light, either way they go, but they will go on their own. And we just got confirmation of another fellow hunter, shall we say, who did the same thing last night. She sent 2 of them into the light.
Outstanding.
Yeah, so it's, and she realized, and she was in a sense of love, because she said she burst into tears because she didn't realize until that moment she sent them into the light that they were slaves as well. Which is, we're all finding this out. They've been used as a pawn in this whole big charade of theirs, and whoever's pulling the strings up above, their little games are strengthening us, by the way.
I agree.
Yeah, I really truly believe that. They're making us stronger, so.
I really agree with that. And also, I was just going to say, I've received information that the whole thing, first of all, just so everybody knows, yes, Galactic Connection was hacked. There's no question that there was a link to the political stage, okay? But we also were hacked from the inside. And this is how cunning they are, because it was all planned and it was all orchestrated. And yet I, in some ways, used to go over to Jerry's and say, I just knew it was happening. But what they knew was I was so busy and my workload has been so immense that I felt like my arms were tied behind my back, literally. You know, and this is what I'm trying to warn all of you, is we really are stepping into a state of we must be more vigilant. It's not a point of paranoia. It's a point of releasing our naivete, almost kind of a leftover from the Lemurian days when we were very, we are basically, I mean, if you look at and just tap into our divine spark, it's beautiful, it's perfect, it's gentle, it's tender, it's gorgeous, it's incredible. That's what we get a high from when we do all of our spiritual work. But it's one of the reasons we became enslaved in the first place, right? So we are really getting kind of booted in the butt that our way of redefining love is at stake here. Do you know what I mean by that, Jerry?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I do. I'm just going to add for a moment.
Sure, please.
Like you were saying, for the next 6 months, things are going to be really, really interesting for the transformation of the physical body. And I would recommend it. Every single person is start taking an opportunity to really find out what you're capable of doing. Use your mind to the fullest of its ability. Learn to manifest. Learn to create that which you need in life. Have faith that it shall come. If that's what, because that's what I do. I use faith. I also use practical things too. And when I do my healings also, I've learned that, yes, I bring in the masters and I bring in archangels. But like I told you before, I have them hold space for me now.
Exactly.
So I can learn to use the energy of what they already have to become part of that as a template.
Exactly.
So I can become as they within physical form as they are within spirit. And that is where I'm using my mind and elevating my body up to that higher vibration for transformation.
I'm glad you brought that up, because there has been a tendency out in the spiritual community that we go directly to source. Now, to me, that's a given, right? That's a given. You always go directly to source. But it doesn't mean that we have not been provided tools and support, because we are in what I would, I call it the enemy camp, whatever you want to call it. I mean, right now, we're really being challenged to even change our language because we've gone up in another octave. But, from the standpoint of fully understanding what I'm trying to say. We've been walking through an enemy camp here. And because of it, we're being challenged right now to get off our knees. And that means, like, if we need help, we need to ask for help. We don't need to keep doing this all by ourselves. I'm speaking from testimony here, guys.
I think that if people would take the time to sit back, like Jerry said, and maybe just think about it, meditate, whatever you want to do. We all have gifts, new gifts, that we have. Most of us don't even have any idea what they're all about.
Correct.
They evolve. But if you manifest, you want peace and love and harmony in your world, then bring it in.
Yeah, and on that note, we are changing, and there's a lot of things that will happen because the body has to acclimate to the energy of the earth. We keep talking about an Earth 2, but what I'm really finding out is we're manifesting the Earth 2 right here as the human body evolves to higher vibration, because the low density doesn't work anymore, especially for this time. And don't you find it interesting that at the time of spiritual evolution, we're in a war of fear, and the two try to counterbalance each other. And I think that if you're truly of light, then you should get involved in changing the energetic pattern of not living in the fear, but changing the energy so we no longer have war.
Right.
We need to tell our leaders that we are tired of that.
Good point. And that means taking action, I mean,
it does.
It really means that, again, I say all the time, Jerry, the world is waiting for all of us. But those that will typically step out first and foremost are those of us that are enlightened. Those of us that have already walked that trail, that difficult trail. As I've said before, it's easy to be in a religion because they give you the rules and regulations and you're told what to do and not to do. But it's not as easy to be spiritual, where you have to be accountable to your own moral compass.
Right, because you have to take the responsibility of the actions that you create.
Correct. And we are really on that crossroads right now. And I do want everyone to know, I mean, so much information has come in the last 24 hours where I am incredibly aware that there are very specific areas on the planet that are being targeted for the mere reason that there are gates and portals and places like that that are wanting to be taken over and dominated by the dark. Now, why is that, right, Jerry? I mean, it's because they want out of here. They are trapped. And this was the plan from the very beginning, was to trap them so that we could either assist them and move them to the light, or they experience second death. I was curious, do you have any feedback on that?
James, do you have one first, or would you like me to go?
Send them to the light. That's all I can say. Send them all to the light.
And I agree with you, but in doing that, they will actually go, as we become more light beings, they will be filtered out anyway. It's just a matter because they'll have no place to live except for in the shadows. And then that will dissipate as we still keep evolving. But also you have to remember the body, and this goes back into the DNA, okay? As it evolves, we will get more strands of DNA, just like the extraterrestrial beings that we came from did, okay? It's what we do and how we implement our coding in that. This is our choice. This is our development. That's why I've learned that there are so many extraterrestrials here. Even if they're not directly involved, they're watching and observing the transformation of the human race going back into the original indigenous species of light again. Now, does that mean that we won't be here anymore if we ascend that high? No, we will, because life preserves life. And all it means is the things that the masters did before, we shall become as they.
Perfect.
So we'll still have physical form. We'll just have the beauty of knowing how to truly walk in our walk with each other.
Wow. Let's just sit with that for a minute. I mean, that's like a high right there.
What do you say after that?
I mean, seriously, that's bliss right there. Just knowing that everybody on the planet is fully in their own individual mastery.
Yeah, but that's what we're supposed to evolve, from what I can see. And then you were talking about downloads. I was on a council meeting last night, and it was strange because we were talking about the other side wanting to create a war.
Yes.
They want the prophecy of the Bible to come true at all cost. And here again, there are people upon this planet that just say, no, it's not going to happen. Mother Nature has a way of taking care of herself, that needs to be that way. And the overall consensus was, and I really like, and I'm going to go off the record for a moment, but I know that the Russians really did a beautiful thing, in my opinion, exposing America's involvement in the Middle East.
Yes.
Maybe we shouldn't talk about that because it's very political.
No, we should talk about that because that's part of this whole thing.
Well, what they are doing is, by exposing the truth, they make you look into the mirror of what America's really doing. Is it the correct way about going resolving the problems in the Middle East? Because we basically created most of them there when we took out certain regimes. I think that we should become the true peace leaders if we're going to become anything at all, and stop selling arms to the Middle East and start to create peace within our own nation with the Muslim race, so we don't have to worry about a religion attacking another religion of belief.
Right. The other thing is, when we're reading news articles on the web, in my opinion, it is just so important to have that discerning eye. When you see an article that is just so, what I call polarized, and it's taking a race or a planet or a certain people, and it's just demolishing them as a generalization, run, okay? Because the agenda is not positive. And you're putting that in your mental, your mental juices, and it's not really serving you. I feel like the fear game is so old, and it's dying. Because I think more and more people are waking up. They're realizing that the fear within themselves is a representation of what they're seeing outside of them, right? I mean, you can walk, what's the story? You can be in the middle of Watts, okay? If people don't know where Watts is, it's in Los Angeles. It's been known to be a gang area. You don't walk through there after dark. You'll get cut up and sliced and diced, that kind of thing. The story goes, if you have not 1 ounce of fear and you know that your back is covered, you can walk right through Watts and not have anything touch you. Okay? I mean, we really are getting to a place, and that's part of stepping into our mastery, is really being willing to believe, and that's a kind of a tenuous word, but to actually feel and think that there is a massive network of people around you and higher dimensional beings around you that want nothing but the best for you. We've lost that connection, Jerry and James. We really have.
Well, this is another thing that was brought up on the council last night. It's funny because the more you understand about different extraterrestrial races, even if they squabble among each other, their unity among their own self is united in the overall peace of direction, purpose, and moving forward for the betterment of their species, which we haven't.
Species, isn't it?
What? Excuse me. What?
For all species, or for
at least their planet. I mean, the Archons are still going to have enslavement with the military greys and stuff like that. But even the military greys, as a collective, they don't fight among each other. Where human beings still fight among each other for greed, profit, or possession of control of land.
Do you think that that's with the archonic intrusion, though? Is that part of it? I mean,
I don't know. I I can find out, but I don't know. I just know that we need to evolve like they do. Instead of fighting among beliefs, let's honor each other through the creation of being human. Let's honor each other through the creation of God, not the belief of how we believe in God.
Correct. Okay. And also, Jerry, you brought up a good point. Being honored and grateful for being human, not being an extraterrestrial. Now, yeah, I get it. We're all, like so many of the people that listen to this recording, are starseeds. And I get that. We're from a lot of other different places around this solar system, other solar systems, other galaxies. I get that. But we made a choice to come here. And as Jerry has said, our bodies are increasing in vibration. Well, guess what? Why is that? Because we're part of Mother Earth. As it's been stated before, our first and second chakra are intertwined with Mother Earth. They're actually below us within the dirt of Mother Earth, if you want to envision it that way. Whole new ball game, right?
Yeah. And peace, harmony within yourself spreads to other people. Like you were saying, that's why when you know who you are, you can walk through the valley of death and not have to fear.
Yeah.
And there's where I see the evolution of the human race going. You know, just because there's a group of militants in the Middle East that are fighting for whatever reasons, it doesn't mean that all of the people of that same belief share the same opinion.
Exactly.
Otherwise, there wouldn't be so many refugees trying to escape. You know, they would be fighting for the same cause, and they're not. That shows that they have humanitarian beliefs just like we do. They want to have their children to be protected and loved. They honor and cherish other people as they wish to be honest and cherished as well. And if we're creating that situation, we should hold ourselves responsible, even though if we don't like it, for the actions of our governments to take them in and provide what they need to weaken and stabilize their country back so they can go back if they wish to. That's what we did in Vietnam, basically.
Yes.
We need to start working for the peace of humanity instead of the fear of destruction of it.
And so often, the fear of destruction of it, Jerry, is a stage performance. This last big hoorah-rah in San Bernardino, California,
yes,
they're already proving beyond a shadow of a doubt that there were more actors at that location. How many more times do we have to read this stuff to get the fact that these false flags are energetic triggers for the satanic ritualists, so that they're doing that at the same time that they're raping and murdering children? Okay? I mean, it's all intertwined. And when we go into a flurry of, oh my God, there's been all these people killed in this location, I'm literally at that point where when I see a headline and it comes out and it's like, bam! This plane was shot down and this many people were killed, I immediately sit back and go, I think I need more information before I am going to buy that. And especially because who's putting that information out?
Correct.
A lot of the alternative news sources, they're all about fear. And don't think for a minute that they haven't been compromised. You have the corruptibles and you have the non-corruptibles. Period. That's where the line, you remember when they were talking, like, 6 months ago, there were quite a few, messages and channelings coming through some awesome healers. And they all had the same tone and the same resonance of, the line has been drawn. In my opinion, the line has been drawn between the corruptibles and the non-corruptibles. Okay? So no matter how hard it gets, and I know that Jerry and I have run into, we have very, what I would say, high echelon clients. We draw the healers and the practitioners of the world because they trust us. They really know who we are because they have the gifts to see who we really are. And because of that, we're running into a lot of Elohim, right, Jer?
Yes.
Okay, and what are Elohim, right? They're walking, physical angels, folks. Okay, and these people are really taking it hard right now. Jerry, do you want to talk about that a little bit? Because I think it'd be really interesting for people to hear.
Well, just from doing the IRPs, I'm finding out that there's a lot more Elohims coming through. In fact, I found one today when I was doing their report. And I found out that also they are going to be hit the hardest because their mission, their purpose of what they could do if they came into their full fruition of power, understanding who they are, would turn so many other people around. Because remember, it only takes one person to unite 1,000 people.
Exactly.
And that's why they're being hit. And that's why, here again, and I go back with you, we need a central hub for people to put their information so they can share it, so we can see the effects around the world of what's happening.
Well, and we're working on that, Jer.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying.
But they dismantled me because of it.
Yes, I know that. I know.
You know, but it's coming back, and it's coming back stronger and more fortified than ever before. So.
The other thing, too, is this coming year, I think we're going to be doing the mastery classes of the temple, becoming.
Yes.
But there needs to be a group of people like we do once in a while. We get together and we talk on the roundtable committee where the people call in. That needs to be going on a little bit more. This coming year, I think I talked to you about going out and meeting our constituents, the people, just going maybe to a coffee shop and saying that we'll be here or we'll be doing stuff. Getting teams together of healers, all the different things that we talked about that really need to happen right now.
I agree. I've been told that this month is a month of, let me make sure I get this right. It's a month of reorganization, assimilation with these new energies, because people got hit really hard in the last October, November. Those were, I mean, I'm seeing it from all the emails and phone calls and text messages I get anyway. I think you might agree. Maybe you do too, James. People got hit really, really hard. And I think part of it, Jerry, is because they're recognizing we're in a higher dimensional band.
And it's true. And that's where the, like I said before, the low demonic energies that used to be the waywards, the fallen angels and stuff, they don't have as much effect upon the people because of our vibrational energy going up. And that's why the extraterrestrials are called in the bigger hitters. They're extraterrestrial demons and stuff. Which is really funny because remember when we were up at ESETI and we released all the trapped tortured souls underneath the property?
Yes.
And this goes into loving them instead of crucifying them and sending them into the darkness. We changed the vibration of energy upon the planet.
We did.
You know, and other people are out there doing the same thing. I know people that are traveling right now, creating a lot of massive energy work.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And so it's a group effort among the human race. It's not just always one individual. There's many, many people out there working. But I wish we could get together and talk about what we are accomplishing and doing so people know that they're not alone. And at this point, because of the energy transformation coming in, a lot of people are going to go through physical changes again, sleeping patterns, fatigue. They're going to feel anxiety, even if there's no reason for it, because here again, if you start getting abilities and you don't know how to transfer the energy into a constructive outlet, a manifestation, it will bind up on your DNA is what I'm finding out. That's what I was talking about earlier. You need to be able to release that and come into fruition of the body, acclimating that energy.
That kind of lines up with Jeff.
Yeah,
Yeah, Jeff just sent us information I shared with James that he was saying that through this whole fiasco and the incredible hacking and attacks that I've experienced both within Galactic Connection as well as outside of Galactic Connection, that he says literally my heart space was being strangled off from the rest of my field. And I was crying out for help, literally. And I have had a lot of people, thank you all, by the way, for reaching out to me, because I really have needed it. I mean, I can't begin to tell you, this has probably been the most challenging experience of my life in more ways than one. And BB Tinsley, my new assistant, we've been going through hell. So we do really appreciate you guys holding the space. And this is what Jerry means. You know, if we were more consciously connecting and involved, but we need volunteers. We need people that are really going to be serious about it. Remember what I've said before. How serious are you and dedicated are you to living this as your truth? You know, I do this really 24/7. And I know there's people out there that want to do that, but they don't have the ability to do that. But if you're going to volunteer, we want people that really are going to stick to it, that are reliable, and that are in a position where they're not corruptible. And I'm wondering, I was going to say, James, did you want to talk about that? Because we've talked about the non-corruptible thing. Yeah. How does one determine that one is non-corruptible?
How does one determine? That's a big $1 million question. I wouldn't even know how to answer that. Honestly, I don't know how to answer that question.
I have a few answers. How about you, Jerry?
I think that the people that are watching this, listening to this, they want to help us with some of the changes and noticing some of the changes out there so that we can all add this to our information that we share with everybody. Send it in. We're very interested in it coming in.
Absolutely.
And as far as that, it's a sense, it's a knowing. I don't know how you and I know, but how do we know? That's that. So let's hear your answer. I am dying for this one.
I'll let Jerry go first, and then I'll speak.
Okay. It comes down to who do you wish to be and what do you wish to be, for me anyway, okay? There's a difference. You can have all the knowledge of the Congress Library, but if you don't put it to use and really walk in what you have learned, it's just knowledge. And there's a lot of people out there that is doing that, and that's what's going to happen in the next 6 months. People are going to get this information. You call it a download. I call it talking to the higher self.
He hates that word, guys, by the way. He can't stand download. I have to break my pattern of saying that. Anyway, when you start walking your truth, you actually inherit the ability of becoming united and infused with it. Right now, what people do is we go through this phase of I'm a teacher in the aspect that I know something, but I'll act as a student when I have disagreements with someone or something. A master doesn't do that. He stands firm in his identity of what he truly believes. And nothing can knock him off his foundation. It's like a master who has mastered chi, and once they anchor themselves to the ground, 100 students cannot push him off his foundation. Okay? The same thing. The human race, and this is where that transformation of energy is coming through. If you start walking in your walk and living in the power of what the universe can truly create, because some of us believe that we are that of God's energy, and that I do believe that we are. So let's learn to incorporate it to the highest ability of what our minds can manifest by bringing our bodies up to the energy levels that it can produce, so we can truly see the fruition of being able to manifest an apple or manifesting the rent or whatever else that we need, because we have learned not to take the energy in vain of hurting someone else, but in the helping of our race to become higher in the efficiency of what we truly are here to do. You know, when people ask me, what is my purpose? A purpose is twofold, I found out finally. One
is your individual purpose of what you wish to create from life and have for the enjoyment of it. But the second is, at this time anyway, I'm finding out, is for the body to come back in true alignment of its creation of what God created us to be in the beginning, which were true light beings. And that's the greatest purpose to fulfill. And that's why the other side tries to keep us down into a manifestation of 3D. You know, when we talk about beings that are 6th, 7th, 8th, 29th dimensions, okay, what does that really mean? Because you can't describe a 29th dimension for the most part. But when you say what they can manifest and what they can bring forward and the love that they have for the existence of being in this beautiful universe and how they get to travel the universe because they are so in tune to the energy of the creation of it, that is what a true dimensional being is. They're still physical, but they have the ability to transfer their body into the energetic energy of all creation instead of just a single creation like we do at this point.
Right on. Beautiful.
That is.
Okay.
He's on a roll, guys.
I wish to walk in the identity of my true purpose.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with you. I think
Passion.
I want to speak for my own experience in these last 60, even 90, 100. It's ever since ESETI, okay? Ever since ESETI, when we let those souls, and actually they returned back to their own galaxy, which was not of this galaxy, guys. And there was conversation where Jerry at first was saying, we can't trust those. Those are demonic spirits. And I was like, no, they really want to go home. They don't want to hurt us. They just want to go home. They want to be free. And then Randy was saying, no, I'm getting they really want to be free too. And what I learned from that whole experience is when one of them stopped in the middle of the ceremony and came back and thanked me telepathically and said basically to me telepathically, you have no idea what you just did. You will be blessed beyond measure. Okay. Well, little did I know that because of how massive that affected the planet, and the Anunnaki and their minions have the ability to monitor the energetic shifts, right? And they can monitor the amount of chi that comes off your heart, and they can monitor how much of a powerhouse you are. Okay? So with that came a deluge of information about what was being designed in bringing down galactic connection.
Wow.
Yeah. And I kind of knew it back here, but I had to allow it to play out. It's very multidimensional the way the whole thing has fallen into course, okay? But what I want to explain to people that's become very clear to me is that we talk about the dark agenda. We talk about the dark beings that are monitoring us. We're all very keenly aware that they spy on us, that they own the airwaves, that they influence people negatively. Like if you're a really bright bulb of light and you walk into a room, especially if they're implanted and if they don't have a spiritual bone in their body at that point, you're going to get whacked. Some way, shape, or form, you're going to feel it when you come back out of that room. But what I finally really got was that because our energies and our dimensionality and our frequency have risen to such a state, because of the amount of support that we're receiving, they have really upped their ante, so to speak. And they have become more assertive in the way that they infiltrate us. Before, they were playing little ankle biter games, okay? You know, like James is irritated with me because he didn't get a returned email and it was a really important thing, and, you know, he's just irritated, okay? That's an ankle biter thing. What they've actually done now is they're looking at each of us. They literally send in black witches on a grounds floor level, okay, to come into your physical space, and it could be through a girlfriend, it could be through a one-night stand, it could be through an employee, it could be through a friend of a friend, like that friend is your close friend, you talk to them every day, but they have a friend that's extremely negative, and they're affecting your relationship. These are all part of the dismantling. They think they're going to dismantle us. But in reality, it's strengthening us because it's creating a better discernment level. And we're starting to see very clearly the levels. So for me, had a prior employee who had a, I'm not even going to say this on the air, but let's just say a squeeze, okay? And that individual was a black witch. And that black witch was putting a lot of information and energy into the server and into every realm of galactic connection. Now, were they both aware of this? That's the $64 million question. I believe one of them was, okay? The other one actually was too. However, in the very beginning, I don't think they were. And this is where they're very cunning, and they look for the individual that is in fear, that has had the rug pulled from underneath them, okay, or has had a radical loss in their life, or, has a very huge insecurity of some sort. So all I'm saying to all of you is just something as simple as that is a way in which the Anunnaki, and I got the message yesterday that this is an Orion faction, and don't misunderstand me because I love the Orion Council of Light. Okay, you got some good boys and girls upstairs with the Orions. But this particular faction was no different than we are now. They were manipulated, and they were, what's that word? Chipped away with sending in people that were telling them, hey, if you come with me or you do this, I'm going to give you this. And, hey, wow, look at what kind of power or money or this or that or security or whatever you're going to get by
persuasion.
Yes, persuasion. And they use that in order to, embed themselves into your life. And because we're so trusting, that divine spark within us is so naturally wanting to see the love in you, wanting to see the beauty in you and the good in you. I had this guy say to me yesterday, he says, listen, Alexandra, your heart is huge, but we're at a place right now where there's a lot of heavy-duty stakes at hand. We have a lot at stake, and it's time for the human race and myself to take our naivete mask or hat off. We can no longer afford to be naive. We are in this, and if we want to get all the way to the end, we've got to step fully into awareness. That's kind of my reality right now, Jerry.
I agree. And here again, like I said, for the next 6 months, that I know of at least that long, the energies that are coming in, if you step into it, you will come into that awareness, because your body's going to have to acclimate to the energy of what the mind is able to perceive and do and create. Okay? Now, some people are going to need help with this understanding, because it can be overwhelming, because one night you're going to go to bed without any abilities of clairvoyancy or psychic abilities, and the next morning you're going to be going, wow, I can read people, I can do stuff that I normally couldn't do.
Yeah, that's going to wake a few people up when that happens.
But it's happening now, and I've seen it in people. They just don't know how to fine-tune it. Mm-hmm. And I think there's where we come in as a group and an organization, along with other groups and organizations that should get together.
Yes.
Because there's a lot of people that truly need help.
I agree. And Jer, I really want to hear from James. By the way, if anybody hasn't noticed, he's kind of like quiet in the background most of the time. You got to kind of like draw him out. So, James, tell everyone the realizations you've had in communicating with a few of the other people as far as what you're seeing is your next step of your mission?
Well, I mentioned a little bit earlier, there's a brand new, it's the first female that I've met who's a hunter. And there's a couple of guys scattered throughout the country, but everybody seems to be waking up. And I think that we all need, the more of us that get together and communicate on a regular basis, like Jerry's saying, but we need to have this hub for everybody. But what we do as the hunters is to unite and work together. And I think that's where our direction is because when we're all united, I have to share this with you because I know that I was messed with, but this is what you were talking about. I went to call this young lady, and I went back to get the email because it wasn't on my phone, which is unusual because I have caller ID. I'm like, that's strange. So I went to look up the email. Jerry, I swear to you, her name and her phone numbers were eliminated from my email. So I checked all 6 emails just to make sure that I hadn't misplaced it. It was not there. I tried to text Alexandra 6 times. Couldn't get a text through. BB 3 times. Steven 6 times. Nothing happened. And I finally got a hold of you. And that's when I told you I got her phone number. But she's experiencing, she's starting to realize what she's doing. And what combined that she's excited about knowing what we do here. Because we all have abilities, or everybody has unique abilities and gifts. And we all pull together and they can help each other out.
Right on. And what does that resistance tell you, James?
We are winning.
And what it tells me is when welcome to our world, right, Jerry? That's my world. I have resistance and interference on a communication level all the time. And so I know I'm doing something right because they're always trying to block it. They're always trying to impede it. And what I want to say to everybody, remember what I said last time, got to be tenacious. Got to be tenacious. Don't give up and realize that we are all experiencing this right now in a big way.
Yes, there's many.
Big time. What do you want to say, Jerry? I can tell he wants to say something. He's like.
Well, which leads us into a new future. And I don't know if people really are planning, because the present right now is so hard sometimes. But if the light workers came together, and this is what we were talking about last night, we could unify the human race, which goes back to what the other races have already done, for a direction and to have a common goal of not only peace, but space exploration, underwater, actual contact. We are in a time of history, in my opinion, like no other, because we're going to be able to see things unfold for the next 20 years, 25 years, okay? And we're still young enough to see it.
Yes.
And be part of it.
Yes.
And that's the beauty. All we have to do is get through a hurdle of where people lay down a foundation saying that we'd fight a 1,000-year war, to saying we surrender to the negativity of the war, but became enlightened from the actions of what we created from it. And in that aspect, we start unifying in love and in identity of religion actually stops people from coming together. But the spirit of where we are going in energy will unite all humanity, because you're not going to escape it. The body is going to have to transition to the higher vibrations of the galactic center coming in right now. Yeah. And here again, the galactic center, is 4 things actually. The galactic center is one of the things that you can look and see, because we are moving across the apex of that arc of the galactic center. The more you do that, the more energy will be put upon Earth. It will also affect the sun. The sun in return affects Mother Earth, and Mother Earth in turn reflects the physical bodies of what we live in. This is a time of rejoicing, not a time of warring. You know?
Exactly. And you know, also everything's being magnified because of the position we're in galactically. And the other agenda knows that. So it's time for us to kind of change. We were just talking about this morning. It's almost as if we are in a place where we're being challenged to change even our language, how we communicate to one another, instead of saying, hey, this is a system. That's kind of a third dimensional tone. You know, we're being challenged to create a whole new language.
True.
Literally.
And there is one other thing I need to explain about myself, okay, real quick.
Uh-oh. I think we all better hang on for this one.
I always talk about working with the Christ energy, the Mother Mary energy, and all like that. And people relate that to the physical Bible. And they don't understand what I really mean on that is not the physical content, but the energy of what they were able to produce from the God source. Okay? It's a vibration. That would be called a different dimension if you really want to, because I don't know if it's a 1.9 trillion terahertz or not. Just know that if you tap into the energies of what the masters did, you become part of that energy. Like I said, when I do my healing...
So agree with you.
Yeah. And this is what I would recommend. When I do my healings, I ask the master to hold space for me so I can hold space for you to learn how to bring the unification of not only the aspect of energies together, but that's how every time I work on you, I always ask you what you want, and I find out what your spirit needs, because I work with you directly in your higher self.
Yep, me too.
Okay? Yes, I know. We've discussed that, and I didn't know that you did that in the beginning. But that is the true enlightened being at that point. You learn to tap into the energies of the universe. And on this world, we gave them names of Gandhi, Mother Mary, Buddha, Christ, the Virgin Mary. We gave them names because they were physical people that were able to carry that energy into this 3D realm. And that's all I'm saying. When I work with the energies, I'm just bringing back that energy of the higher vibrations into my physical body to become part of me.
That is beautifully put. And I would want to say also, if we buy into the Power versus Force book, which I don't know a person out there in the spiritual community that doesn't accept that as kind of a reality, that as you grow higher in your vibrational level, in your consciousness level, you are able to hold and affect a larger group of people. Okay? So if the masters reached that certain very high level of vibration and were able to affect this massive wave of people, why would we not feel that they're still doing that?
That's true.
It's a good, it's a good thing to ponder. I mean, why would we think, I get all the stuff about, the Matrix, and there's false light, and there's, there's like cloning, and there's copycats and all that stuff. But ultimately, if you hear what Jerry's saying, when you really truly are in alignment with your own authority, your own divine spark, and your ability to invoke from the highest of pure intention, you're not going to tap into a copycat.
True,
you know what I mean? It's just, it doesn't work that way.
Right.
And that's why, James, you are able to, when you go out hunting, ask them to go into the light. You don't need to fight.
You don't need to. That's what it is. It's you ask them if they would like to go into the light, and they do. They would rather. And when they do, that was quite an interesting feeling. And speaking of another language, feelings are another form of language. That the feeling of gratitude when the three of them went into the light when I encounter them in September. But as you said something that they're aware of us. In my case, I'll use me. They are aware of us, and the realm is pretty cleared. And then I was reading that a lot of the archons are actually going into the sun right at the present moment. But the field right now is getting clearer and clearer. So now is the time for everybody to come in here, and we all, do this together, because together united we're stronger than the little guys out there who carry the little stick.
Well, and we need to have our wits about us. We really do, because we are stepping into a more finely tuned, higher frequency band, and with that comes also other beings that are more highly tuned and frequencied.
Mm-hmm.
We're really being called right now. So all of you guys out there that are being under severe psychic attack, I have this last email that came in, they were talking to me about how they're getting, I wanted to ask you about that, Jerry, like your take on this. They were getting hit by what they felt were scalar wave, and they were literally being burned. Their bodies were literally feeling like burning from the inside. I was wondering what you run into that.
Yes, I have. I know someone who got hit with that. And you can show it on their body. I'm learning. Remember I told you the mind is a remarkable thing? Anything that man can produce, we can negate. Because it takes the creative genius of the mind to be able to bring it into manifestation of energy. But our brains have already known the counterbalance of how to deactivate anything. I'm learning with myself. I get a lot of high-pitch ringing in my ears. It's almost like I can start hearing the harp signals when they go off.
Yeah.
And what I'll do is I'll say, if this is not for my best and highest good, I do not wish to hear it anymore because it's damaging the temple of my body. And it does decrease. The other thing I notice is when I'm being hit, because I felt like I've been hit with waves before, when I see the change of personality, our desires, our uncontrollable anger or something, I neutralize it by saying, where's the source coming from? And literally, you can, when you are, and this is the beauty about walking in your identity of power and knowing who you are, the mind can truly negate any form of wave that is being projected. That is the beauty also of the human race. Now, why can we do this and some extraterrestrial races can't? There is a reason, by the way. It's because we were truly meant and created as light beings. All the energy of the best of the universe was, in my opinion, we talked about this a long time ago.
We did.
We are that light. And therefore, anything that is within creation, we are of that creation of it. And our brains have more synapses and nerve systems in it and everything else than there are stars in the universe. So if you can imagine our brains being able to acclimate to that type of energy, there's nothing that we cannot achieve as a unity of people upon this planet. If we fought just as hard for peace as we do war, this world would be in total bliss. And that is what the light workers really need to understand, because when I was in council last night, that's the one thing that they were saying that's missing is, yes, there's a lot of light workers upon this planet, but some of them want to turn their attention away from the woes of the planet instead of being directly involved in it. You can't sit this one out.
Because their frequency is so sensitive, and it affects them with their. I do a lot of work with the very high sensitivity of people, and it affects them with their digestion, their sleep. They're not even able to leave their house in most cases, and we need them. We need them fully on board. And they would ask you, how would you go about shifting that, because they feel that they've done it. But I want to say one thing in response to what you just said before you even address that. And that is, we literally are being called to jump into the deep end of a deep blue sea. We literally are. And doing it and coming to the surface and going, oh, that really wasn't so bad. Wow, I can do.
The water's fine.
Yeah, not only is the water fine, but nothing's eating me up. I'm not drowning. And, oh, by the way, wow, there's an angel that's there to assist me. And, I'm going to call out and I'm going to get help. And you're going to receive it. We really are being called to take that jump. I mean, really, it's in response to what you just said. And I think up to this point, we've been so scarred and wounded and exhausted from the battle.
Yes. Oh, I'm going to address something you said too. One of the things I notice when I work with people, we see ourselves as either insects, mammals. Okay, and there's reasons for it. Okay, but we rarely see ourselves as physical living beings, and the reason why is because we are in such a quandary of just trying to survive. And when people ask me, well, what do I need to do to change that? One of the first things I tell them is they need to step into the power of seeing themselves as a true spiritual being. And the best way of doing that, if they can't see their identity, is to anchor into, here again, one of the vibrational energies of what they believe in, whether it be the god Iris, the god Ram, Jesus, Gandhi, Buddha. They need an anchoring point to help hold their space for them as they fulfill and learn of their own identity and master the energy of being a physical being. That's why you can't say, I don't wish to be here. I embrace my humanism. I love being human. I couldn't think of anything else of being at this point. And believe me, I know where I came from. But I'm here and I want to enjoy the full potential of being a human. And once you start doing that, I'm finding out you overcome the limitations of just surviving through the reptilian part of your brain to the higher vibrations of creation of energy through the right hemisphere of your brain. And then when the logic and the spiritual aspect merge into one, like I'm seeing the minds do, you become a complete being of true identity, like you were saying, Alex, earlier. And you don't have to worry about not eating, because you can start having control of your body. You can start having control of your reality around you by learning how to manifest the energy of what you truly need in order to survive in a safe physical form of existence. That's why right now, the higher you go, you might start losing friends. Like you said, there are people that infiltrate, okay? But they will lose eventually connection to you as your light becomes more predominant than they are in darkness.
And Jerry, one other thing. Don't forget that the more light that you attain or become, the more powerful you are. It's not the other way around. And it's almost as if we need to change our belief system that as we're climbing in our dimensionality, which, some people question if there's even such a thing as a dimension, but they question, well, wow, I'm going into the big boys network now. And you seem to think to yourself, gosh, I don't know if I have what it takes to be on equal footing with everyone else. And I say to you, we are all starting to really recognize this is why they've done such a huge, ongoing, ancient construct of keeping us down. Has anybody ever thought of it that way? Why have they put so much effort and resources? I mean, we're talking relentless resources to keep us enslaved.
I have.
Has anyone ever thought of it that way?
Yes, because here's the thing. If you want a slave mentality race, you keep them reincarnating into the same belief systems without ever having them see the truth of what they truly are. Okay?
Yeah.
And this is where we're coming out of that. Because in order to really manifest, what you're talking about is the one thing that God has done is never changed is love. And that goes to unconditional love and truly knowing how to walk in what it truly means. Unconditional compassion, okay? Of having true compassion for understanding where another person's coming from, not only in their heart, but in their spiritual makeup of how they got into the situation. And then third, and this is the hardest one, is unconditional forgiveness. And this also means forgiving thyself for the shortcomings of which you've created. Mm-hmm. So you don't have to keep reliving the karmic debt of what we are enslaved to.
That's a really good point. I mean, isn't it almost as if you were to just peel away everything, probably the most major obstacle is that we as the human race, it's almost as if we haven't forgiven ourselves from that moment when we allowed the intrusion in. Do you know what I mean? Like back at I'm talking back all the way to Lemurian times.
I go back all the way to the beginning of creation.
Yeah, that too.
RP, okay? And that's why I'm seeing the patterns of following people through their timelines and how...
Well, okay, now, folks, he's talking about the spiritual past life clearing. I mean, if you haven't had it done, it is super powerful. But go ahead.
You know, and I'm finding out that there are certain points in people's lives where they are marked in time. It's almost like, regardless of what they did previous, even though they might have had 1,000 lifetimes, there are certain key points that are fixed in time for them of where they carry a burden throughout all their other timelines. Basically, because they feel like what happened to them right at that moment is their punishment or their circumstances of what they could not get out of because someone else was holding them in bondage because they could not find the spiritual relief of identity. And so I break those chains when I go to do that. And then I talk to them. And then they become empowered because empowerment is not just being enlightened. It's the understanding of, like I said, truly walk on your path of unconditional love, unconditional forgiveness, and having unconditional compassion for every living thing, not just human. These are dimensional shifts that we're talking about because they can't be defined by a fixed point in time, but they can be described by the overwhelming feelings of which you get from them. Mm. You are multidimensional. So even when they say that we are 3D, when we go out and we work at night on other planets or with extraterrestrials, we are in that fifth and sixth dimensional plane. It's what we bring back from it that determines whether we stay within the 3D. And people are ascending because the bodies are coming more acclimated to the energy. And this is a beautiful time for the human race again.
So are you saying that in the next 6 months that the primary challenge is just us really understanding the fact that we're at a higher vibrational level and it's almost like all the other things that keep us running, so to speak, have to kind of come online?
Yes.
You know.
Start taking command of your life. If you are under attack, demand that it stops, or find someone who can help you bring in the fruition of that anchoring of energy to have it stopped. Okay? I mean, I get attacked a lot.
Yeah, as
In
do
fact,
we.
yeah,
So does James, you know.
but we survive through it. We get cleared. We keep going on. Okay? And the more I'm finding out that we can handle, the more they'll throw at us sometimes. But eventually, and I hate doing this, when they start coming into my light, they'll automatically start going into the light, or they will fade from existence of this reality. Not from creation, but from this reality.
And why is that?
Because I tapped into the Christ energy, which is that of forgiveness. And when you forgive someone unconditionally, they cannot hold the energy of, what would it be called? I think it's called discernment or anger. They fold and buckle at the knees. They almost fear you in the aspect that they know you are so enlightened in your own identity that there's nothing that they can do to break you. There's where that integrity of what you were talking about, and when you talk about people of being corrupted, it really comes down to their integrity. And it's not money that buys them. It's the understanding of what they get from the universe, of tapping into the universal source of God, of what they become from being non-corruptible. You can't buy that with 3D money.
No. Or power.
Or power. And that is the beauty. And this is why I keep going back to some of the biblical references, because Christ had all the power that he needed to do things, just like all the other masters. But instead of choosing to strike out against their enemies, they forgave. To truly understand why they did that is mind-boggling. But once you understand what that truly means, and you have the ability to do it too, no one can ever do anything to you that does not apply to your own will of having it done.
I totally agree with that. And so much of the hardship that some of us are experiencing, we called that in as a test, as an initiation, literally, as a preparation for your next space of your mission or your purpose. Definitely. And I totally agree that, you know, when you get on the other side of very uncomfortable and major attacks, you will see how strong you've become from that.
And you do.
You know?
Yeah. So, go ahead.
Go ahead, James.
I have to say, I don't know what to say after both of those there. My head's still reeling.
No, but it's true. And the other thing, going back to a piece of what I brought up before, is the agenda of the opposition. And I think I should start using that word. It's the opposing. Okay, they're opposing your progress, right? They're always they're you know, you're on your path, and you're like laser beam clear where you want to go, and you know, there will be impediments possibly put in front of you. And it is a unbelievably well mastered, well planned event. Okay, so it's not just, you know, a friend of a friend who comes in, infiltrates your friendship, it irritates you, start getting sidetracked, you don't focus on where you're going. See, it's all part of just distracting you from where you need to go. Why? Because obviously where you're going is going to make a difference for 8 billion people. And that's just on this planet, folks.
Okay.
We're not even talking the rest of the beings that are really kind of banking on us to pull this off, you know?
True. Now I'm going to put you on the spot, Alexandra.
Oh, God.
Okay.
Okay.
I would like people to write in to you or to me or James that would like to see Galactic Connection put on an event like they do with the UFO connections, or not the conspiracies, because I'm not in conspiracies, but International UFO Congress and all like that. But we, of the Galactic Connection team, put on an event, but it will do with a duality of the spiritual continuity of what we are as humans, as well as the relationship to our extraterrestrial brothers and sisters, and if they would like to have that or not for this coming year.
Okay.
Because
thanks, Jer.
Yeah, because I figure if we get enough mail that says that they would like to have us put on a conference, we should do it.
No, and I think that that's like already in the works on an energetic level. But feel free, everyone, to go ahead and email us. You can email us at admin@galacticconnection.com and let us know.
Yeah. It'd be good to see the feedback from everybody.
Yeah, and I'll definitely pass it around and we'll make it happen. I think the most important thing from this interview is, on the one hand, to really assist you in becoming aware of how much they have upped their agenda, okay? They have really stepped up another pace because they see that we are getting our act together, okay? They get it. They get that we're becoming more aware, we're growing in consciousness. If I haven't been told this once, I've been told this many, many times. We are actually ahead of schedule in some ways. They did not expect us to accelerate as quickly as we have in certain areas of this mission. So I want everyone to know that even though we're in the third dimensional reality from the standpoint of, we hear about war and bloodshed and horrible atrocities going on in Syria and other parts of the world. The flip side of that is we're not hearing about the behind the scenes meetings that are going on with higher ups that actually can affect a large group of people that are really doing everything they can to stop any more war from going on. And we don't get as much of that kind of intel, but it's happening. And people will tell you. Those that have gifts, that have stepped fully into their gifts, they've written me. I've accepted, I've experienced some information as well. There's some really incredible things happening on this planet. But in order for it to really take effect, those of us in the enlightened stage, we have to really own that. It's not just about owning our own. It's not just about owning our own identity and mastery. It's about owning the fact that outside of us is something that we can control. Think about it. The outside world is what we make it. We are literally, it's just like what Jerry said, we're stepping into our gifts, we're stepping into our power. And they never thought we'd get here. The opposition is way behind, by the way. Who just put that out? Laura Walker just put that out in one of her Oracle reports.
Yep.
Okay? And I trust Laura. She gets some phenomenal information. She's a great person. So, and she's just one of many of you that are getting this kind of information. Well, think to yourself, why is that? That's because people like James and Laura and Alexander and Riley and Jerry and me and all the rest of you are all doing your bit on the inner plane, whatever that is. You're transversing, or you're basically giving a very dark, what I would refer to as probably a master archon, the option. Okay, you want to go to the light? Because they're enslaved too. They're enslaved just like we are. Because this is a game. We've all been put into this game. This is an enslavement game.
So now we change the rules.
And now we change the rules. Good point. So now, Jerry, tell everybody your perspective on the Middle East crisis. We were talking about that the other day. We thought we should probably do an interview on that, and I said, let's go for it. You had a very interesting perspective as to what you saw was unfolding over there.
Oh, now you put me on the spot.
Uh-huh.
Wow, I have to get my brain back into gear. I looked at it. It's a three-way fold in the way I look at it. And I think it's mentioned this before. America is the central hub of disinformation right at this point. I hate to say it that way, but it really is. We can use propaganda against our own people. We can use any ploy that we want. I think the rest of the countries are also wise to our game, because the only thing that we unfortunately have in this country is military war going for us right at the moment, which is bankrupting the national economy, like I was telling you. But the fact that Russia bringing out the news that it has related about our involvement with ISIS and how we haven't done as much as we claimed. If you really look at that, we should be upset in this country, because what are our men and women dying for if we are not taking actual measures to stop war? Our mission was to create peace. Instead, we create destabilization in the Middle East. This means that now China and Russia, in my opinion, even though it does not seem like it, are actually partnering up with each other.
Absolutely.
Okay?
I think
And so they don't ruffle feathers. They have to keep things in the background somewhat, because China basically has been buying off our debt. So if we go belly up, one or two things happen. A national world crisis of the major banks fall again. And people don't believe that because of how strong the American dollar is. But that doesn't really mean anything, because the energetic energy of the world is changing. And the only thing that keeps the dollar really afloat is our belief and faith in the money system.
exactly.
Okay? But once that's broken, it falls apart and the cornerstone crumbles. And I have a feeling that if things keep going, because we cannot fight a 1,000-year war, and if we learned anything from history at all, the Middle East has been under attack since the beginning of when I can remember, okay? It's not going to fold just because we have created bigger and better bombs, because it's not based upon a military aspect of winning. It's based upon a religious view. And that is what held the Middle East together. They have their own way of taking care of their tribes and stuff. We are the ones who went over there and, once again, created different nations, you know. We need to actually pull out of it. And this is what we're talking about on the council again tonight. Because as far as I know, World War III is not going to happen, even if we have to shut down the nuclear plants. Because the powers that be, the Illuminati, the Black Ops, and everything else, the Anunnaki, the reptilians, or whoever, this world is not negated to them. They do not have ownership of it. That price was paid by higher beings that spilt their blood for the unity of the living indigenous people of this world, and they're underneath protection. And so what I see coming is eventually, no later than 2025, but 2017, there will be a boycott of the rest of the world around America. And the best way of doing that is what they're doing. They're getting the oil situated between China and Russia, in my opinion, which means that China does not have to buy off our debt anymore, because even though they're industrial, they will have other means of producing energy. And therefore, without firing a single weapon, it would be very likely that if the rest of the world boycotted us, because they devalued our dollar, because that's all only strength that we really have, what else does America truly have? Communication, data and data banks of useless information, as it would be, saying what other countries did and what you and I did. I mean, when you look at what's happening in America, our own government is working against our own constitutional rights. and the rest of the world sees that America is not as strong as a leader because its own people did not have the backbone to make the government obey its own laws. And so why should the rest of the world follow a country that is only strong in the leadership of military weapons, but not in the constitution of what they say the strength of true peace is supposed to be manifested from our Constitution? So therefore, we were talking about, I look at it like, in the future, America will hopefully fall, and I hate to put it that way. It won't fall as far as the uniting of the people. That's why we're going up in this vibrational energy, so we can learn to come together like it was intended for us to do.
Yes.
But overthrow a regime of the corrupted politicians, and I hate to say this, but it's true, the corporations that have actually bought America from the people. Mm-hmm. And this is what when you look at the other countries, don't get mad at them for exposing the truth. Embrace them for doing so. Because as they do so, it should make us want to change who and what we are and what America truly represents.
I have something to add to that.
Go ahead.
Isn't it we have an echo all of a sudden? That's interesting. In the last 30-something days that I've been going through what I would refer to the dismantling of Galactic Connection server, and you name it, everything from the booking application, the WordPress blog, everything, okay? All of it. Anything affiliated with it. I kept asking, what's going on with this? What's the message and why? And I had a conversation many, many times. And the answer I got was, this was a microcosm. This was a representation of what is to happen on a macrocosmic scale. And that means like on a planetary scale. And it was always being said, this is good. The corrupt database needed to be plucked out. Okay? There were corrupt files that had been deliberately injected with a virus. And they were so cunning that they were just kind of sitting there. Okay? And the same applies for our world. In order to be free, truly, totally free, isn't there like a biblical passage? You have to pluck it out. That's what was said to me. And that's what is coming to probably the United States in particular and the world. And that's what they're referring to as there will be some downtime, between like the old system and the new system. How do you merge two systems when the old system is completely dark, corrupt, and completely infiltrated with not even, it can't touch this higher frequency. It just can't. So the only way to get from here to here is you got a little bit of a gap there, right? So there's going to be an unplugged stage is my whole point. That's the message I've been getting. I just went through it. Yeah, it was tough. It was painful. And who knows? I mean, I've been receiving messages. This could take up to 3 more months because all of the servers are integrating with the new frequencies. Our consciousness is becoming part of our computers. It's becoming part of our servers and our blogs. We're going to, why is that, everybody? Because we're stepping into more truth. So our blog and anything that is representing us, whether it's our clothes, whether it's where we live, or if we're sitting down having a conversation with someone, we are stepping into light, which is truth, which is there is no masking. There's no room for masking. And the blog must represent totally, completely that of who you are or intend to be. There will be no more secrets. And I just want to pass that on because I thought, wow, how profound that the days of the old, here versus here, this is all secrecy here. This is all, let's keep this person out of it and that person out of it, versus here where everybody is playing on an equal playing field. We're all, no matter what you are or why you're here, everyone is honored and respected. There is no, what's that word? Preferential treatment. And I was wondering, do you guys have any similar ahas?
I'm just sad that I'm not going to get preferential treatment from you anymore.
Did you ever?
Yes. I couldn't resist that one.
Oh, I bet you couldn't. But
I agree. That's what that's what it means by by evolving, okay? And we are evolving. And I look forward to seeing the human race as it does so. And I just want to say something. I do believe in my country. I love America, okay?
yes.
I don't like the corruption that it's becoming because of our politicians catering to the whims of corporate America. And I think that
very industrial complex is what it is.
right. And I think that once we have no more fear of each other, we can change our policies back to what this country was truly based upon. Sovereignty for the citizens of the government, or for the people. And that's what I think the rest of the world would like to also see. I mean, I know that the other side, what they're truly trying to do and why they want to keep us in slavery is because they do want to create a new world order. And they do that through the banking communities. And there again, that's what I'm seeing Russia, China, and also the Middle East actually trying to undermine the banking corruption. And we already had that done once when the banks did fail.
Yes.
But they did fall because of the homing crisis that they created.
Yep.
And we had a chance to change the timelines. This time, let's hope that we get it right.
We're on track. We're on track. They've got the BRIC nations in place, and that's what's going to help us all. And like you say, Jerry, this country, we're all raised here, and it means a lot. But we're not going to let them take over. They're on their way out.
Well, and I think I'm going to speak for America right now, but I don't think it's any different than any other country out there. We are really at a time where, as a citizenry, we have to see ourselves differently. Like, the biggest number one thing for us to acknowledge is that we have support and protection. So if we really feel compelled to step out in the truth, and we feel really compelled to bring, some awareness or information to the forefront, we need to know within our hearts that the universe has your back. We're actually at a stage right now. I mean, think of all the whistleblowers that have come out, folks, and they're still around. They're still around.
And you do a great job about exposing the truth, Alexandra. So
Thank you,
want to
Jerry.
thank you for that.
Wow, he gave me a compliment, guys. And he didn't call me Alexander today.
I've been practicing with you.
Oh my God. I had to compliment you on that one, Jerry. No, but it's true. Everybody's waiting for us. That's what comes through my guidance and messages is even the whole planet is waiting on this higher level. They're waiting for the United States because of what Jerry said, because the most corrupt force in existence has really embedded itself in the United States political regime, the military, which has unfortunately become worldwide. And so there's just like a lot of attention being placed on what are we going to do? James took off. So it's very important for us to take action.
There he is.
Change our ways of seeing this, because I think this is really key. How we thought of ourselves yesterday isn't even applicable to today.
And that I agree with, because we are changing every single day.
We are changing fast, like, exponential speed mode. So, and James is just wanting to show us this Southern Cal hip picture of himself. So anyway, we're getting to the top of the 2-hour mark, and I want to end this with, Jerry, is there anything you want to share as far as protection, psychic protection tools at this stage?
There is a technique that I show people, and I'll show it on camera right now. If you really feel like you're heavy and bogged down, it's a technique of just sweeping the energy off of you. Like if you spilt something on you, or you walked into an invisible spider web at night and you pluck it off of you, move the energy from your body. And once you do that, replace it with what you want. So when I go back in, I replace it with healing energy, or energy of higher self-love. Okay? So I'm actually changing my vibration from removing the negative influences that I picked up throughout the day from doing the work that I do, and replacing it with the higher vibrations of, like I told you, my higher self and the masters to help me anchor that energy and sustain that energy through the rest of my day. Because you and I do heavy work when we do our work.
Yes, we do.
And if anyone knows what it's like to be in the battlefields of a spiritual evolution of enlightenment, I think you and I really do know that.
Yes. Yes.
So.
But anyway, well, thank you, Jerry, and thank you, James.
Bye, guys.
James is coming back to say goodbye.
Stay at the door.
But anyway, we want to tell you guys, we do love you with all our hearts, and we are here to serve you. We are here to serve humanity and our beloved planet, Mother Earth. We truly are. And, of course, Father God. So please, if you feel free to drop us a line, let us know what you think about us putting a conference together next year, and if you'd like to assist in any way or participate or even just present some ideas, we'd really appreciate it. And again, check out our world-renowned implant removal process, especially for all the healers. That's pretty much why we were kind of put here, huh, Jer? I mean, it isn't just really for the masses. We're here to really support the spiritual community. And also, don't forget to send us some serious protection and love and light, because we can really use some reinforcements right now. And I call on all the guardians out there especially to really, really anchor where you are, because things have gotten very intense. And we're on, like, what do you call that? Like the E-ride at Disneyland. You want to say something, Jared?
As far as getting something started next year, when I did the blending, there were a lot of people because the only way I could ever put it on was through volunteer work anyway. And I gave unknowns a chance to be known. And I really did help a lot of people, and that's also what I believe that we should be doing now.
Yep.
And
totally agree.
I think it would be really great to be able to blend the angelic with the extraterrestrials, and see how they truly work together. Because when I go to the Galactic meetings and stuff like that, or what they call the Galactic Federation Council, I hate that, but anyway, there are angelic beings there, believe it or not.
Yes.
You know, and there are all kinds of races that are, like I said, getting involved right now because they truly want to see the depth of where humanity is going, and how much we evolved, and how many people actually ascend. Because there are people truly ascending, and I know some people don't believe that there is a difference in that, but there really is, and it has to do how you tap into the universal energy of God, and how you realign yourself into the fruition of knowing who you truly are within spirit at the time of your beginning of creation.
I would also like to say that there are some of us here that we didn't come here to ascend.
Yes.
I want to make that really clear. We came here to assist. You'll hear that out of my mouth over and over. I'm here to assist because I know how many times I've ascended. I came here to assist all of those that want that ascension opportunity. So there should be no judgment or you're better than me or anything like that, because really it's not about that.
No, we are truly all equal.
Yes.
And there's where understanding the three things I said, unconditional love, unconditional compassion, and unconditional forgiveness truly play in the overall makeup of what we are. Because I'll tell you now, if God treated us the way that human beings treat each other, we would not have any concept of God probably.
No, not at all.
You know, and that's why all races that I've seen and talked to, even though they might have a different understanding of God because of their technology or where they're at in their evolution of physical beings, they still have the awe of a presence of something that created the beginning of everything.
The reverence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I know that when I worked with the Greys and they tried to put an equation to God, their final formula was forget about it. Because the universe is constantly changing. So there can be no equation that creates for the beauty of complexity of what all spiritual creation is. And that has to do because we all have in creation free will. And how do you put an equation to that? You can't.
No.
Because you can never estimate what a person will do with their free will.
Good point. Good point. How about you, James? Do you have any closing remarks?
Just send in the messages, guys.
Yeah, and for all of you out there that are feeling like you are a Archon hunter or a, I don't know, what do you call it? A dark something hunter?
I don't think it's a dark. It's the Archons. You know, they're a etheric being that did not come here by choice.
Yeah.
They did not come here by choice at all.
Yeah.
And there's a few people out there that need to come forward, because if you've had some strange experiences, with the example our friend this past couple of days, she didn't really realize what she was until she was enlightened with what to do.
Isn't that awesome?
I think it's great.
I know. That's awesome. I mean, this is a really exciting time. And once again, please bear with us. If the website doesn't show up one day, please continue to come back and check on us. We need your support. We need your love. Love, love, love. And your faith. Yeah, your faith in us being there tomorrow. What, Jer?
If people could help donate once in a while, I know that's a lot to ask, but to keep us going, especially when everything collapsed, it really does help, because we're basically doing this from our good works as well, but we still live in a society of capitalism, and you do need money to help things keep flowing.
Yes.
And I'll say something here on that, because I've watched this Galactic Connection for the last couple of years, and they don't run any ads on the website. They don't run things like some of the other so-called spiritual sites and charge you some exorbitant fee. Alexandra does what she does, Sherry does what he does, and it doesn't bring in a lot of income for this website. And the help is needed out there.
Thank you. Because I'm kind of bad about asking for donations.
I know you are, but there's a lot of these people out there in the spiritual community that claim that they have no money, and I'm so tired of hearing that bullshit. Sorry, guys, I don't want to hear it anymore. Everybody's working. We're all here to help each other.
Right.
That's what we're here for.
Well, you heard it. That's James' final comment. Again, thanks a lot. Check us out. We are going to be launching a lot of cool new stuff at the beginning of the new year. This is the direction that I've been given directly from the top. And in the meantime, we're going to just kind of hunker down and clean up a lot of corrupted files and all the other good stuff. So please send us your support, and we love you. And hopefully you can feel that from the bottom of our hearts. Take care and have a rest of a wonderful day. And thank you, James, and thank you, Jerry.
You're welcome. Good to see you.
Thank you, and good seeing you both.
You too. And we'll talk to you guys soon.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.